Hey everyone, let us start with the DOM XSS. But before we jump into DOM XSS, first we need to understand what DOM itself is. So, DOM stands for Document Object Model. So, before we understand DOM, we first have to understand object. Now, object is a programming construct, and I would want you to learn JavaScript first before you jump headlong into DOM XSS. So many people are not able to understand DOM XSS completely because they don't understand DOM. Now, if you want to understand DOM, you need to understand object. Now, if you want to understand object, you need to know programming or coding. So the language to learn is JavaScript. So this is the lecture I would want you to go through. This tutorial covers it completely, the JavaScript, and somewhere over here. So this 9th chapter covers DOM separately, but DOM itself, first he also covers objects, right? In the 8th section he covers objects, then he covers DOM. So objects and DOM and all these things are a construct of JavaScript or coding, and these objects are eventually used by JavaScript. So you need to know JavaScript as well in order for you to exploit DOM XSS. So highly suggested that you go through this video. I wouldn't want you to become a developer or a builder, but you should know these concepts if you are jumping headlong into DOM XSS. I'll anyways try to explain what an object is, create an object, and show it to you in Visual Studio Code. So I'm writing a HTML code actually, but not the entirety of it. I'm not going to write HTML, head, body, all those things, but just writing the script section. Now I'm going to create an object. First I'm going to create a variable to store the object. So objects are written within this curly braces. Within this object we have something called as properties, right? So this is a string called as trainer. This is the entirety is property. This is sometimes called as key, and this is called as value, but this entire thing is considered as a property. This is a string, so we can call this as a value, which is a string, so we call this as value property. We could also have functions defined within it. So functions is another construct within programming, and let us write a function now. Great, I'm writing a function here. To define the function within this function is I'm going to so Ram, that is me, has a role of trainer, but he can also greet, right? Greet is an action, right? So he can also greet. Let us have Ram greet in this one. Hold on. So Ram can greet someone as hello. So yeah, this is what a simple object is. Within this object we have two properties, right? This is a value property and this is the function property, right? This is having function as a value, greet is having function as a value, so we call that as function property or method. If a function is within a object, then it is called as method. Now very simply, people end up calling this value property as simply property, but if it's a function they call it method. So this naming things I have seen gets overlapped very often, but this is a simple object for you. This object here is referenced or stored in this variable called as RAM. So this variable is called as object. So let us try and access this object via JavaScript. Now this file, this code is saved in file called as script.html. Let us go and open that. So we have it opened here. Let me go to console so that I can enter JavaScript. Okay, we have an error in the code. Okay, so properties are separated by comma, not semicolon. Hopefully this resolves the issue. Let me refresh. Yeah, perfect. So now we can access this object. So let us access this value property, role trainer. So since Ram is an object, I can access Ram's property of role, right? And so you have accessed the property. Within the Ram object, we have property called as value property called as role, and we are able to access it. So this particular line is JavaScript, by the way. I'm entering JavaScript in this console, and via JavaScript we are able to access the objects. Let us access this function as well. Ram.greet. To access function or method, we use this parenthesis. See, Ram is greeting. So on one side we have value being accessed, on the second side we have function or method being executed, right? Now I also want to show you we can change Ram's role from here in. So we can have something like ram.role is equal to trainer. What can I add here? यहाँ पे secret trainer. Whatever. I am out of ideas. Now if I access ram.role, it will show secret trainer. So via JavaScript, I was trying to show that via JavaScript, you can not only access the property, you can also change the property, right? So that's the idea behind this. All of this are JavaScript code. So this is to show you that we can, via JavaScript, these objects are accessible, right? JavaScript is able to access the objects. These objects can have another object embedded within them. So we have this object, right? Within this I can write another object. Let me write one for you. So curly braces, closing and opening. Within this we will have another object, and let us give a secret role for secret role is Pokemon trainer. Right, let me save this and reload this page. So accessing objects within objects, how will we do that? First we have to reference Ram, then we have to reference this another object, and then we will be accessing this secret role. They call this dot notation. So Ram dot another object dot secret role, right? So another object, so Ram itself is an object. Within that we are accessing the another object, and within that we have this value property called as secret role. We could have had method as well, right? So we are able to access object within the object. Just some construct that I wanted to learn before we proceed. So summarizing, JavaScript can access objects, access the property, or access the function, change the property value, change the objects. So that is what JavaScript can do. Now consider this, let me clear the screen. Consider this. What if there is a web page, right? .html web page, and this is ending up in your browser, right? Browser when loads the HTML web page, it breaks down this objects. it breaks down this web page into a collection of objects, right? You have this series of objects. Just consider this web page is being broken down into a collection of objects, right? This single square is representing an object, so everything put together is objects, right? So what if your web page is getting broken down by the browser into a collection of objects, and via JavaScript, if we are manipulating the object or accessing or changing the object, that change is reflected in the web page. That is nothing but DOM, right? We saw that DOM stands for document. Document means this. Object means this individual object. Model means this thing you can consider as model. I like to consider this as voodoo doll. You know, if we move the hand of the voodoo doll, real human's hand gets moved, right? Similarly, this DOM or this model, right? This is DOM, and if you change an object herein, that change is reflected in the web page, right? That is the idea of DOM. Now, this model part, you can also consider this as a architectural model, right? Before the actual building is constructed, first there is a model of it, and the owners or whomever is putting the money, they will say that I want a park in this area, and they will change the model. They won't actually change the construction area, right? You change the model, and the architect or developers change it in the actual construction site. Similarly, in browser world, there is a model created called as document object model, and if you change anything here via JavaScript, browser obeys that, and browser makes the change in the web page. So that's the idea of DOM. Let us see this in action, this act of browser loading the web page and creating objects out of it. Let us now see that in action. So I have here a simple web page or document, if you will. Let me open this in VS Code first. We'll go through the code before we get into it. So very simple web page. It has HTML, the root element, and within head we have title, and within body we have h1 heading and paragraph and div, and within div we have span, right? Very simple web page. Let me look at it, how it looks. When we load it, it looks like this, right? And now how do we actually verify whether objects are created out of this web page? So when I'm loading it in the browser, as in when it is entered, this web page is loaded, right? As soon as the web page is loaded, an object's collection of objects should be created, right? So how do I verify that? If I go to this console and if I do document.all, see, these are the collection of objects that browser has created. So let us explore this body object. So within the body object, we have its children, h1p and div. Let me open this code and see, within the document also we have h1p and div within body, right? Same is reflected here in the DOM or in the object collection. We have h1p div under body. Let us also see, like we saw earlier in object, in this code, we had object with value property and we also had method, right? Similarly, here also objects will have their property method to them. Let us explore one of them. Let's say let's explore this paragraph element, right? Herein as an object, it is existing as an object. This p object will have inner text, as a string property, right? Value property, string property of my first paragraph. We can practically access this. I'll be showing that. But not only this property, we also have methods within this object. Let me show that to you. Okay. I wanted to show you one specific method called as remove. It's quite dramatic. Lots of properties, right? You know, I'm deliberately scrolling so much so that you understand that browser, there's a lot of processing behind the scenes. You have so many object properties for you to play around with as a developer or as a hacker, you know. Now there is this property called as remove. So the idea is that this objects, you know, browser creates collections of objects out of your document, and these objects have properties and method to them. Again, with JavaScript, you can manipulate objects, you can access this property, you can access this method. That's the idea. Let us access the shown property and method. Let me go down in the console. So let me show you how do I go about accessing this paragraph element. Within this console, I can have something like document.querySelector is one of the other method available within this collection of objects. So P has one for it, and the document has one for it. Within the document, we have P, right? Via query selector, we are giving the path as body, and within the body we have P. Now I can access the inner text. We saw P was, or paragraph was having inner text to it, right? That object was having inner text. Let me access the property within it called as inner text. If I do this, I'm able to access the value. So JavaScript, this goes to show that JavaScript has access to this P object, right? That wishes out of the document you have objects created called as P, and you can access that via JavaScript. Not only that, the dramatic example that I wanted to show you was accessing the value is one thing. You can also remove the value, but before removing, let us also change the value of it. Right, I would want this to be my second paragraph. And if I do this, this thing will change here, right? Did you observe that? So via JavaScript, I am changing the web page that I have in front of me, changing this document. Right, and let me also remove this now. This paragraph object is selected or element is selected. Let me do a remove method on it, and we will have that element itself disappearing. That happened because of this remove property. So this goes to show that the JavaScript code that you write can manipulate the web page at will. So that's the idea of this. The browser is creating collection of objects out of the web page that is given to it, out of the web page that is loaded on it. These objects you can manipulate via JavaScript, and they will be reflected in real time in the web page that is shown to you. The earlier object, this RAM, was created by me as a user, but when we see herein via document.all, this huge collection of objects, this is actually created by the browser. automatically for us. So whenever you load the web page, this is automatically created. I'd like for you to know something. So when I drew this diagram, we were under the assumption, you might have assumed that making changes to the object is making change to the web page itself. That is not the case. So when I use the remove command here, so this remove is when I do this, we have the page this p element removed, right? That is not actually removed from the web page itself. If I do control U, I get the source code of the web page. In that source code, I still have this p element, see, but it is not being shown in the web page that is shown to us. So the original web page that which is sent by the server is not having a change on it. That's why whenever I do reload, I get this p element back. So whatever I'm doing change on is actually I'm doing a change on DOM. So browser, after getting the web page, it creates a model collection of objects or model out of that web page, and then it shows you the web page content. So actual thing that it shows us is here. Here in within body, so if I reload, I will get the p back. But if I console and remove it, here in that p is removed. So this section or this area is dedicated to DOM, and whatever you see in the web page is actually a representation of DOM. So going back to our diagram, the change was not happening in the original web page. Whenever you manipulate objects via JavaScript, you are not exactly let me just rub this. You're not exactly changing the web page. You're actually changing a representation of web page. So after collection of objects is created, you can via JavaScript manipulate this object, and the web page, just imagine there is a new web page copy created by browser. So originally this comes from server, right? Browser creates a collection of objects out of it, and whenever you make a change to this object, the web page is changed, right? So it is a representation. This web page is actually a representation of the manipulation or the collection of objects that is created. If we go back to our browser, whenever I am doing a reload, if I do control U, this is the original page that was arrived, right? Original page you see via control U or doing view page source, but the DOM representation is shown within elements. That's why when I do remove, if I do control U here or view page source, that p element is still there, but within the element, the p element is paragraph element has disappeared. So that's the idea of DOM. You should always know that whatever you are seeing in the front end is actually a representation of the DOM, right? DOM is nothing but collection of objects, and those objects represent the web page. Represent is the keyword here, as in if you change the object, the web page will change, but not the web page that was server sent to us. Let us concretize this concept by making some change to this simple web page. Let me add a script element to this page, and within this let me add this remove code. Right, so I have added this. I want for you to understand that when the page is loaded on the browser, it first creates objects out of it, and then it reads that the developer has also sent some script along with this web page. Let me also apply this script, and then it shows you that web page structure in Elements tab. Let us see this in action. So I have this web page created, right? A simple web page. Let me load this web page. So now we have p element already removed. Let me do Control U. So when I'm doing Control U, I have this paragraph here. But when it arrived, the page itself arrived, right? The script, whatever it was within it, while the browser was creating a collection of objects, DOM, out of our document, it saw the script and it started working on it. It removed this paragraph element, and within element, if you are able to see, we don't have p element here because this script worked. And that's the idea of DOM. So so developers, what they do, along with sending the main web page, they also send the scripts along with it. So why would someone do that? There are so many applications to this. Along with the main application, main web page, they will send the script along with it. And when you are clicking on something, rather than the request going to the web server and coming back, the script can see that you are clicking on something and update the page on the go on the client side itself, saving network bandwidth and resources. So that is one of the use cases. There are other use cases of DOM, but DOM is very powerful and very useful for developers. I have more things to talk on DOM before we jump into DOM XSS, but I think we are at the 27th minute now. And this video cannot go on indefinitely, right? So I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.